The last reading took place where Beowulf defeated Grendel, and stories about his fame and glory spread across the lands. And we ended with Harrett Hall being rebuilt because, as a reminder, it was all destroyed except for the roof during the fight between Beowulf and Grendel. And we stopped with them sitting down to have a feast with one another and celebrate Grendel's demise. And we're beginning in this book around line 10:19 with a line that says, "Then Healfdene's son." Then Healfdene's son, who is Hrothgar, presented Beowulf with a gold standard as a victory gift. A standard is a banner. With a gold standard as a victory gift, an embroidered banner. Okay, well, it just said it. Also breastmail and a helmet, and a sword carried high, that was both precious object and token of honor. So Beowulf drank his drink at ease. He was hardly ashamed to be showered with such gifts in front of the hall troops. There haven't been many moments, I am sure, where men exchanged 4 such treasures at so friendly a sitting. An embossed ridge, a band lapped with wire arched over the helmet, head protection to keep the keen ground cutting edge from damaging it when danger threatened, and the man was battling behind his shield. Next, the king ordered 8 horses with gold bridles to be brought through the yard into the hall. The harness of one included a saddle of sumptuous design, the battle seat where the son of Healfdene rode when he wished to join the swordplay. Wherever the killing and carnage were the worst, he would be to the fore, fighting hard. Then the Danish prince, descendant of Ing, handed over both the arms and the horses, urging Beowulf to use them well. And so their leader, the lord and god of coffer and strongroom, with customary grace bestowed upon Beowulf both sets of gifts. A fair witness can see how well each one behaved. Beowulf does his duty, right? He kills Grendel just like Hrothgar asked. And in return, here Hrothgar is showering Beowulf with all these treasures. He gets this gold embroidered banner, so it's this very fancy banner that he can use. Breastmail, which is chainmail. Helmet, sword. You can never have too many swords. 8 horses with gold bridles. So bridles is kind of like that bit part that you put into like a horse's mouth and you go around and it like attaches to the reins. That's a bridle. Which is also interesting because he came over on a boat, so it has to be a decent sized boat that he's going to return to Gateland in if he has to bring 8 horses back with him. And then a saddle. So all of these gifts are bestowed upon Beowulf by Hrothgar. The chieftain went on to reward the others. Each man on the bench who had sailed with Beowulf and risked the voyage received a bounty, some treasured possession. And compensation, a price in gold, was settled for the gate Grendel had cruelly killed earlier, as he would have killed more, had not mindful God and one man's daring prevented that doom. Past and present, God's will prevails. Hence, understanding is always best in a prudent mind. Whoever remains for long here in this earthly life will enjoy and endure more than enough. Hrothgar goes on to give treasure to all of the men. Oh, I got something on my computer, sorry. All of the men who traveled with Beowulf to Denmark. They all get treasure, and then it says that Hrothgar also gave compensation, a price in gold, was settled for the gate Grendel had cruelly killed earlier. So he also pays this war guild to this guy's family for the fact that this guy died not in battle, but in striving towards killing Grendel. So he pays that war guild, and we've seen war guilds a couple of times in this book, one with Beowulf's father and how Hrothgar paid his war guild for him and saved his life. Well, we're going to a song here, and again, we skip the song. Sometimes the songs repeat and talk about Beowulf's glory in battle, and sometimes they have a whole other storyline that they compare to Beowulf, which can get a little confusing, and just so for the sake of just things making sense in the book, and then also for time, we do skip the songs. So go ahead and skip all of the italicized words. So it's several pages there. And we are going to begin with the stanza that says, "The poem was over." The poem was over, the poet had performed. A pleasant murmur started on the benches. Stewards did the rounds with wine in splendid jugs, and Welchtheow came to sit in her gold crown between two good men, uncle and nephew, each one of whom still trusted the other. And the forthright Unferth, admired by all for his mind and courage, although under a cloud for killing his brothers, reclined near the king. We have two things going on in this stanza. The first is we have some foreshadowing here. It says, two good men, uncle and nephew, each one of whom still trusted the other. This is referring to Hrothgar and his nephew Hrothulf, who we haven't seen that name yet, but Hrothulf is spelled Hrothulf, and it's going to talk about him here in another minute. We have this foreshadowing that something's going to happen there. We've had foreshadowing already that there's going to be betrayal in the shielding nation that's going to lead to downfall. We have that here again, that foreshadowing of that event to come. We also have mention of Unferth again. It says, in the forthright Unferth, admired by all for his mind and courage. So he did hold a position in society, and he was an upstanding citizen, although under a cloud for killing his brothers, reclined near the king. So the book also reminds us, but he also killed family members. The queen spoke, enjoy this drink, my most generous lord. Raise up your goblet, entertain the gates duly and gently. Discourse with them, be open-handed, happy and fond. Relish their company, but recollect as well all of the boons that have been bestowed on you. The bright court of Herat has been cleansed, and now the word is you want to adopt this warrior as a son. So while you may, bask in your fortune, and then bequeath kingdom and nation to your kith and kin before you decease. I am certain of Hrothulf. Okay, so here we have mention again of Hrothgar's nephew, Hrothulf. I am certain of Hrothulf. He is noble and will use the young ones well. He will not let you down. Should you die before him, he will treat our children truly and fairly. He will honor, I am sure, our two sons, repay them in kindness when he recollects all the good things we gave him once, the favor and respect he found in his childhood. Welchtheow's speech here is very cringy because we, as the readers, have already been warned that there's going to be betrayal there by him. And yet here Welchtheow is singing his praises. So it's just a little awkward. She turned then to the bench where her boys sat, Hrethric and Hrothmund. Isn't that awesome? Okay, so more of these HR names. These are Hrothgar's sons, Hrethric and Hrothmund, with other nobles' sons, all the youth together, and that good man, Beowulf the Gate, sat between the brothers. The cup was carried to him, kind words spoken in welcome, and a wealth of wrought gold graciously bestowed. 2 arm bangles, a mail shirt and rings, and the most resplendent torque of gold I have ever heard tell of anywhere on earth or under heaven. There is no hoard like it since Hama snatched the Brozing's neck chain and bore it away with its gems and settings to his shining fort, away from Eromenric's wiles and hatred, and thereby ensured his eternal reward. Hygelac the Gate, grandson of Swarting, wore this neck ring on his last raid. At bay under his banner, he defeated the booty, treasure he had won. Fate swept him away because of his proud need to provoke a feud with the Frisians. He fell beneath his shield, in the same gem-crusted, kingly gear he had worn when he crossed the frothing wave-vat. So the dead king fell into Frankish hands. They took his breastmail, also his neck-torque, and punier warriors plundered the slain when the carnage ended. Gate corpses covered the field. The book here goes off on kind of a random tangent. At the beginning of this, it talks about more treasures that are bestowed upon Beowulf. And one of the treasures is a torque, which is a thick necklace that men and women both wore back then. And the tangent begins when the book starts to go off on what's going to happen to this torque, this necklace in the future. Beowulf gets it right now. Apparently, when he goes back home, he's going to give it to his king, who is Hygelac. And apparently, at some point in the future, Hygelac is going to die in battle wearing this necklace. So it is this complete tangent by the book. It's not really important. I guess the important thing is we are told how Hygelac, the king of the Gates, is eventually going to die, which is in battle. Applause filled the hall. Then Welch the Owl pronounced in the presence of the company, "Take delight in this torque, dear Beowulf. Wear it for luck, and wear also this mail from our people's armory. May you prosper in them. Be acclaimed for strength, for kindly guidance to these two boys, and your bounty will be sure. You have won renown. You are known to all men far and near, now and forever. Your sway is wide as the wind's home, as the sea around cliffs. And so, my prince, I wish you a lifetime's luck and blessing to enjoy this treasure. Treat my sons with tender care. Be strong and kind. Here each comrade is true to the other, loyal to Lord, loving in spirit. The thanes have one purpose. The people are ready. Having drunk and pledged, the ranks do as I bid." She moved then to her place. Men were drinking wine at that rare feast. How could they know fate? The grim shape of things to come, the threat looming over many thanes as night approached and King Hrothgar prepared to retire to his quarters. Ooh. Okay, fate, the grim shape of things to come. Retainers in great numbers were posted on guard as so often in the past. Benches were pushed back, bedding, gear, and bolsters spread across the floor, and one man laid down to his rest, already marked for death. At their heads they placed their polished timber battle shields, and on the bench above them each man's kit was kept to hand, a towering war helmet, webbed mail shirt, and great shafted spear. It was their habit always and everywhere to be ready for action, at home or in the camp, in whatever case and at whatever time the need arose, to rally round their lord. They were a right people. They went to sleep, and one paid dearly for his night's ease, as had happened to them often ever since Grendel occupied the Gold Hall, committing evil until the end came, death after his crimes. Then it became clear, obvious to everyone once the fight was over, that an avenger lurked and was still alive, grimly biding time. Grendel's mother, monstrous Hellbride, brooded on her wrongs. She'd been forced down into fearful waters, the cold depths, after Cain had killed his father's son, felled his own brother with a sword. Branded an outlaw, marked by having murdered, he moved into the wilds, shunned company and joy. And from Cain there sprang misbegotten spirits, among them Grendel, the banished and accursed, due to come to grips with that watcher and Heorot waiting to do battle. The monster was wrenched and wrestled with him, but Beowulf was mindful of his mighty strength, the wondrous gifts God had showered on him. He relied for help on the Lord of all, on his care and favor. So he overcame the foe, brought down the hell-brute, broken and bowed, outcast from all sweetness, the enemy of mankind made for his death den. But now his mother had sallied forth on a savage journey, grief-racked and ravenous, desperate for revenge. Here we have our next quote-unquote villain, monster of the book, Grendel's mother. So Grendel, right, her baby boy, was murdered. Okay, and she is really upset now at the people who reside in Heorot, and she wants her revenge. Right, it says, but now his mother had sallied forth on a savage journey, grief-racked and ravenous, desperate for revenge. They don't pay her a war guild when they kill her son, right? They don't pay her a death price, right? Back then, right, what was the other option? Revenge. Revenge for a family member's death. This is a big theme of this book if you haven't caught on yet. Revenge. Here, Grendel's mother, she's going to take revenge for her son. This is the first time we were introduced to her. As far as we know, she has never attacked Heorot Hall ever in the 12 years her son was doing it. But she is making her way out of her underwater lair and seeking revenge. She came to Heorot. There, inside the hall, Danes lay asleep, earls who would soon endure a great reversal, once Grendel's mother attacked and entered. Her onslaught was less only by as much as an Amazon warrior's strength is less than an armed man's when the hefted sword, its hammered edge and gleaming blade slathered in blood, raises the sturdy boar ridge off a helmet. Then in the hall, hard-honed swords were grabbed from the bench, many a broad shield lifted and braced. There was little thought of helmets or woven mail when they woke in terror. The Helldame was in panic, desperate to get out, in mortal terror the moment she was found. She had pounced and taken one of the retainers in a tight hold, then headed for the fen. To Hrothgar, this man was the most beloved of the friends he trusted between the two seas. She had done away with a great warrior, ambushed him at rest. Grendel's mom attacks Heorot for the first time. She goes in, and as soon as she's inside there, she freaks out. The beginning of that stanza says, the Helldame was in panic, desperate to get out, in mortal terror the moment she was found. She never had a grievance with them. She never attacked them before then. But once her son dies, it's on. But she's not a killer, so she gets in there, completely freaks out, ends up swiping up a guy and killing him and running away. And the one guy she manages to kill was Hrothgar's best friend. So he's obviously now going to want revenge. So we have this cycle continuing. Beowulf was elsewhere. Earlier, after the award of the treasure, the gate had been given another lodging. Oh, how convenient. The one night she attacks is the one night that Beowulf is sleeping somewhere else. They gave him his own kind of house to sleep in. Very convenient. There was uproar in Heorot. She had snatched their trophy, Grendel's bloodied hand. So in addition to taking Hrothgar's best friend back with her, she also takes her son's arm down off of the wall, right? Because you don't want to see a family member's body part up there like as a trophy on the wall. So she takes that with her as well. It was a fresh blow to the afflicted bond. The bargain was hard, both parties having to pay with the lives of friends. And the old lord, the gray-haired warrior, was heartsore and weary when he heard the news. His highest-placed adviser, his dearest companion, was dead and gone. Beowulf was quickly brought to the chamber. The winner of fights, the arch-warrior, came first footing in with his fellow troops to where the king in his wisdom waited, still wondering whether Almighty God would ever turn the tide of his misfortunes. So Beowulf entered with his band in attendance, and the wooden floorboards banged and rang as he advanced, hurrying to address the Prince of the Ingwins, asking if he'd rested since the urgent summons had come as a surprise. Then Hrothgar, the shielding's helmet, spoke. "Rest! What is rest? Sorrow has returned. Alas for the Danes! Esheru is dead. He was Yernlaf's elder brother and a soulmate to me, a true mentor, my right-hand man when the ranks clashed and our boar crests had to take a battering in a line of action." So here we learn the name of Hrothgar's best friend that Grendel's mother killed. His name was Esheru. That's a cool name, Esheru. Esheru was everything the world admires in a wise man and a friend. Then this roaming killer came in a fury and slaughtered him in Heorot. Where she is hiding, glutting on the corpse and glorying in her escape, I cannot tell. She has taken up the feud because of last night, when you killed Grendel, wrestled and racked him in ruinous combat, since for too long he had terrorized us with his depredations. He died in battle, paid with his life, and now this powerful other one arrives, this force of evil driven to avenge her kinsman's death. Or so it seems to thanes in their grief, in the anguish every thane endures at the loss of a ring-giver, now that the hand that bestowed so richly has been stilled in death. I've heard it said by my people in Hall, counselors who live in the upland country, that they've seen two such creatures prowling the moors, huge marauders from some other world. One of these things, as far as anyone can discern, looks like a woman. The other, warped in the shape of a man, moves beyond the pale, bigger than any man, an unnatural birth called Grendel, by country people in former days. They are fatherless creatures, and their whole ancestry is hidden in a past of demons and ghosts. They dwell apart among wolves on the hills, on windswept crags and treacherous catches, where cold streams pour down the mountain and disappear under mist and moorland. We learn here that they did know about the existence of Grendel's mother. There had been sightings of Grendel along with a female creature out on the moors in the wildlands near their swampy marsh area where they live. She had never attacked Heorot, but they had seen her from a distance. A few miles from here, a frost-stiffed wood waits and keeps watch above a mere. The overhanging bank is a maze of tree roots mirrored in its surface. At night there, something uncanny happens. The water burns. So, this lake where Grendel and his mother live underneath the water, it says that at night there, the water burns, right? It's on fire. This lends to that imagery of hell, of Grendel being this demon from hell and the flames in his eyes. So it just enforces that idea of evil. And the mere bottom has never been sounded by the sons of men. On its bank, the heather stepper halts. The heartened flight from pursuing hounds will turn to face them with firm-set horns and die in the wood rather than dive beneath its surface. That is no good place. It's also one of those things where no animals will go near this place. They refuse to step in the water. You hear or see on TV or in movies, like animals always know like a natural disaster like an earthquake is going to happen before humans know, and they always run away. It's that natural instinct that they have, and this is the same thing here. They just naturally know, they can sense that evil lives in those waters, and they want nothing to do with it. When wind blows up and stormy weather makes clouds scud and the skies weep, out of its depths a dirty surge is pitched towards the heavens. Now help depends again on you, and on you alone. The gap of danger where the demon waits is still unknown to you. Seek it if you dare. I will compensate you for settling the feud as I did the last time with lavish wealth, coffers of coiled gold, if you come back. Hrothgar tells Beowulf, please go after Grendel's mother, kill her. I want revenge for my best friend. And if you destroy her, I'll give you a lot more treasure. Beowulf, son of Ecgtheow, spoke, why, sir, do not grieve. It is always better to avenge dear ones than to indulge in mourning. For every one of us living in this world means waiting for our end. Let whoever can win glory before death. When a warrior is gone, that will be his best and only bulwark. So arise, my lord, and let us immediately set forth on the trail of this troll dame. I guarantee you, she will not get away, not to dens underground, nor upland groves, nor the ocean floor. She'll have nowhere to flee to. Endure your troubles today, bear up, and be the man I expect you to be. With that, the old lord sprang to his feet and praised God for Beowulf's pledge. Then a bit and halter were brought for his horse with the plaited mane. The wise king mounted the royal saddle and rode out in style with a force of shield-bearers. So now everyone is mounting their horses, and they are all traveling now to the lake where Grendel and his mom live. The forest paths were marked all over with the monster's tracks, her trail on the ground wherever she had gone across the dark moors, dragging away the body of that thane, Hrothgar's best counselor and overseer of the country. So the noble prince proceeded undismayed up fells and screes, along narrow footpaths and ways where they were forced into single file, ledges on cliffs above layers of water monsters. He went in front with a few men, good judges of the lie of the land, and suddenly discovered the dismal wood, mountain trees growing out at an angle above gray stones. The bloodshot water surged underneath. It was a sore blow to all the Danes, friends of the Shieldings, a hurt to each and every one of that noble company when they came upon a Sherew's head at the foot of the cliff. So any of you that were holding out hope that maybe a Sherew is still alive somehow, no, not so much. Those last two lines there tell us. They came upon a Sherew's head at the foot of the cliff. So this guy's been decapitated, right? Grendel's mother munching on his body. His head is left behind. Everybody gazed at the hot gore, kept wallowing up, and an urgent war horn repeated its notes. The whole party sat down to watch. The water was infested with all kinds of reptiles. There were writhing sea dragons and monsters slouching on slopes by the cliff, serpents and wild things such as those often surface at dawn to roam the sail road and doom the voyage. So not only does this lake where Grendel and his mom live catch on fire at night, we've also got all kinds of sea monsters living in this lake. And Beowulf's supposed to go down into this lake and kill Grendel's mom? Down they plunged, lashing in anger at the loud call of the battle bulge. An arrow from the bow of the gate chief got one of them as he surged to the surface. The seasoned shaft stuck deep in his flank, and his freedom in water got less and less. It was his last swim. He was swiftly overwhelmed in the shallows, prodded by barbed boar spears, cornered, beaten, pulled up on the bank. A strange lake birth, a loathsome catch men gazed at in awe. So Beowulf, takes his bow and arrow out. Apparently he has a bow and arrow with him. And he kills one of these sea monsters. He got to clear the path for himself to be able to dive into this water. This is my second favorite kenning of the book, the first being Word Horde earlier in the book, and this is my second favorite, about line 1440. It says a strange lake birth. So after he kills this sea monster, it washes up on shore. Just like a beached whale will come up there, or another dead animal will wash up on shore, like a fish or whatnot, and they're calling that a lake birth. It's kind of weird, but kind of cool. I don't know. Beowulf got ready, donned his war gear, indifferent to death. His mighty hand-forged, fine-webbed mail would soon meet with the menace underwater. It would keep the bone cage of his body safe. No enemy's clasp could crush him in it. No vicious arm lock choke his life out. To guard his head, he had a glittering helmet that was due to be muddied on the mere bottom and blurred in the upswirl. It was of beaten gold, princely headgear hooped and hasped by the weaponsmith who had worked wonders in days gone by and adorned it with boar shapes. Since then it had resisted every sword. And another item lent by Unferth at that moment of need was of no small importance. The Brehon handed him a hilted weapon, a rare and ancient sword named Hrunting. The iron blade with its ill-boding patterns had been tempered in blood. It had never failed the hand of anyone who hefted it in battle, anyone who had fought and faced the worst in the gap of danger. This was not the first time it had been called to perform heroic feats. Okay, we get this surprise gift here from Unferth. He gives Beowulf his prized possession, this sword named Hrunting. Okay, it's there in line 1458 or so, Hrunting. And the special thing about Hrunting, well, really there's two. The first is, and most important, that it's never lost in battle. If you are going down to the bottom of this lake to fight Grendel's mother, sounds great to have a weapon who's never lost in battle before. Very nice of Unferth to give this to Beowulf. The second interesting thing about this sword is it says about line 1460 that it had been tempered in blood. Right, so back in the day, the blacksmith, he's making the swords and he would stick it in the water. Okay, that's tempering. Well, instead of doing water when this sword was created, they stuck it in blood. Okay. Again, it's one of those things in this book, don't think too much about it. I think it's just supposed to add this, ooh, cool kind of aspect to this sword. So Unferth, trying to settle this quote-unquote feud between him and Beowulf, gives Beowulf his sword to use, Hrunting, that has never lost in battle before. When he lent that blade to the better swordsman, Unferth, the strong-built son of Edgelaf, could hardly have remembered the ranting speech he had made in his cups, because he was drunk, so he doesn't remember what he said to Beowulf. He was not man enough to face the turmoil of a fight underwater and the risk to his life. That's really tough. Harsh words for Unferth. So there he lost fame and repute. It was different for the other rigged out in his gear, ready to do battle. Beowulf, son of Ecgtheow, spoke, "Wisest of kings, now that I have come to the point of action, I ask you to recall what we said earlier, that you, son of Healfdene and Goldfriend to retainers, that you, if I should fall and suffer death while serving your cause, would act like a father to me afterwards. If this combat kills me, take care of my young company, my comrades in arms. And be sure also, my beloved Hrothgar, to send Hygelac the treasures I received. Let the Lord of the Gates gaze on that gold. Let Hrethel's son take note of it, and see that I found a ring-giver of rare magnificence, and enjoyed the good of his generosity. And Unferth is to have what I inherited. To that far-famed man I bequeath my own, sharp-honed, wave-sheened wonder-blade. With Hrunting I shall gain glory or die." This is kind of different because when Beowulf was about to face Grendel, his speech that he gave beforehand was essentially, if I die, I die. Right? I'm here for the glory. Don't mourn me. This speech, when he is about to go face Grendel's mother, is a little bit different. Now he has a couple of demands of Hrothgar. He tells Hrothgar, all right, you're like a father to me, so I need you to do some things for me if I pass away. And he begins this list of items in about line 1480. If this combat kills me, take care of my young company. So the guys that I came here with, I need you to take care of them. Be sure also, my beloved Hrothgar, to send Hygelac the treasures I received. Number 2, all of these treasures you just gave me, I want you to send them back to my king if I die. Let the Lord of the Gates gaze on that gold. Let Hrethel's son take note of it, and see that I have found a ring-giver of rare magnificence, and enjoyed the good of his generosity. And Unferth is to have what I inherited. To that far-famed man I bequeath my own sharp-honed, wave-sheened wonder-blade. Third request is, hey, Unferth gave me his prized sword, and if I die under the water, he's never getting it back, so he can have my sword. So those are his 3 requests. Look after my guys, give my treasure to my king, give Unferth my sword. Okay. He makes some demands, and then next time we read, he is going to go down to the lake in attempt to kill Grendel's mother.